Hello and welcome to our channel. Our names are Mike and Heather and we just got done traveling to 49 out of the 50 states in our 2013 Ford Transit Connect van. Since we've gotten back, we've been doing a lot of little projects, including fixing the bed that broke when we were in Alaska.
Bed extension that broke when we were in Alaska. We've done some cleanup stuff on the van, repainting different areas, just some touch-up work.
Fix the overhead shelf.
Yep. Organization type stuff. And as we've been doing that, we've also been organizing and doing things in our garage. And during that process, we've come across a lot of things that we had purchased for the van at one point and that we were absolutely convinced were going to be a huge part of our travels. But we thought we would share those with you and talk through a little bit of why they didn't make it into our full-time loadout.
Yeah, so learn from our mistakes and save your money. This item is something that we were absolutely convinced that we needed when we started van life. And this has to do with our bathroom. Some of our must-haves is our pop-up toilet and our portable urinal, and we thought that this was going to be added to that must-have list. We traveled with this in our overhead shelf for about 20 states, and I can honestly say we never used it. It is a pop-up, oh my gosh, it really does pop up, bathroom tent. I don't know how to,
This is exactly what you would want. Oh my god, I just hit myself in the face. If you guys could use the bathroom. There we go. Okay. Oh, there's like air vent flaps and stuff.
Yeah, there's a little door and everything. So this is a pop-up tent for privacy. So it's ideally used for like a changing room or when you're camping, somewhere to put your portable toilet.
We never really got into a situation where this felt necessary. It ended up just taking up a lot of space. If we were camping, there usually was some kind of toilet situation, usually a toilet shower, so we didn't need to worry about that or using it as a changing area. If we were on the road, we would just use public spaces. Again, we really didn't find ourselves in those middle of nowhere camping spots that we would need something like this.
Well,
and
when
then
you did, you just went out in nature without this.
Yeah, and at that point there wasn't anyone else around, so we didn't need this. There was maybe one or two spots where something like this could have come in handy, but over a year and a half worth of travel, that really doesn't justify bringing it along, and this didn't stay in our van for very obvious reasons.
Now we have to figure out how to get this thing back in there.
We'll just leave it for now.
Okay.
This tent we bought before we left on our travels and stayed in the van the entire time, but never once came out for any kind of use. This was a car/backpacking tent that we bought because it packed down really small, but it was still big enough for people to sleep in comfortably. We had bought this with the thought that maybe there would be nights where we didn't want to sleep in the van and wanted to sleep outside, so this would be nice for that. Or on the off chance that we met up with family or someone came out to visit us while we were on the road, there would be a place for them to sleep. Neither of those ended up happening. If we wanted to sleep outside of the van, we would just drop the mosquito nets, open the doors, and enjoy sleeping in our much more comfortable bed with all of the doors open and being able to enjoy nature that way. And we really never ended up having anyone meet up with us. We were moving really quickly and it was hard to coordinate anything. This ended up just sitting in our overhead shelf, taking up space, and if we could go back, we would not have brought this to any of the states we visited. Unfortunately, it was a part of our van for all 49.
So when we were first thinking about van life, we did start looking at larger vans until we quickly realized that they were out of our budget. But when we were looking at those bigger vans, we were dreaming about floor plans, one of them including another slide-out bench so that way people, if they wanted to come visit, could stay. Build the van for yourself, pack for yourself. You want to make it as comfortable and have as much space for yourself, so don't worry about any other people when you're doing any of that. If they come visit you, they'll figure it out themselves. Focus on yourself during your van build and your packing. Moving on is this pop-up fire pit. It's a really great handy thing, just like all these items are. We're not saying anything disparaging about the items or the brands themselves, just more of functionality of them in our tiny van and what we needed our van and our space to do, and these just didn't meet the cut. This was another item that before we left we thought it was going to be a lot more necessary because we were going to be dispersed camping a lot, especially out west, and being from the East Coast all you hear about is fires, and we wanted to be as safe as possible, and we know that a lot of campgrounds require you to have an above ground fire pit. However, the majority of the campsites, even in the dispersed camping areas, did have designated fire pits, and when we were in the areas that we would have to be conscious about burning, a lot of the times they had a no burn in effect regardless of if you had a pop-up fire pit or not. So we quickly realized that this was absolutely not necessary. You can tell that we have used this a lot, so this is a really great idea and product, but something of this size for our van really just wasn't necessary.
Another thing that we had used a lot at home and really thought we were going to get more use out of on the road were these Yeti Tumblers, or basically any kind of large thermos type cup that keeps drinks cool or warm. They ended up just taking up space in our cup holders or in our cabinet area. I think the biggest shortfall of these is that they're not multifunctional. They really just serve the purpose of being cups, and while that's not terrible to have on the road, it's not worth the space that we had to invest to keep them with us. Something that we did get a lot of use out of also from Yeti were the Yeti mugs. They were great because we could use them for hot chocolate and other hot drinks, or we could use them for bowls to put cereal or oatmeal in. So having something that was a little bit smaller and more multi-use was just a better fit for us. So these ended up traveling a lot with us, but as soon as we could get home to drop them off, we did.
Speaking of multifunctional, we have another packable camping item here. This one, similar to the pop-up fire pit, is a pop-up table. We envisioned ourselves eating outside of our van with this, and it's a little dirty, so we must have used it once or twice.
We used it a couple times, I remember.
Yeah, it just took up too much space for what it was worth.
So there's like a little hole that they fit in.
So I believe that we used this the most on our Route 1 trip, and as you can see, it's not the end of the world, but I feel like anything that takes more than like 30 seconds in van life is just annoying and inconvenient to a certain degree. We envisioned ourselves with our little camp chairs, putting our meals on here, watching the sunset with our van in the background, and while that did happen, and this could be a table that did it, it was just a little bit too inconvenient, and we switched to our little step stool.
When you're using it, it's just a little bit too small to actually be fully functional as a table. It sits pretty low to the ground, and the surface area isn't really that much bigger than what we were getting from the stool. So if we were going to bring something that was low to the ground without a whole lot of surface area, this was already in our van for sure because we needed a step stool to be able to get up to the roof or to refill the water. So this was going, and it didn't make sense to have two things that were pretty much the same. So this ended up getting booted, and this has been a staple and really has been a great multifunctional piece. When we started van life, we knew that we wanted to have some kind of showering system in the van. We ended up settling on this rinse kit, which was a 4-gallon bucket that you can fill up, and then we bought a heater so that it would be warm water when we took a shower. We used it one time and it did its job, so I'm not saying the rinse kit in and of itself is bad, but when it came to being able to store it, it took up a lot of space inside the van, and that just really didn't work for us. So we ended up going with a Yakima road shower that we were able to put...
Hold please.
So we ended up going with a Yakima road shower that we were able to mount onto the roof rack. So we got our shower system out of the van and up on top, so we had a lot more space inside. This, again, worked fine, but it just wasn't worth having inside the van and having to have all of the different things that go along with it. So the road shower is nice because it warms up from the sun and the water is out of the way. So that was great. And additionally, we came to realize that Planet Fitness memberships and being able to use their showers was actually the way to go for our primary means of showering. And both the rinse kit and the Yakima became more of a luxury when we needed it rather than a necessity. The last thing that we brought along that really didn't ever see a lot of use was this Scrubba washing bag. Basically, it serves as a portable washing machine. You fill this bag up, which is a dry bag also, with your laundry detergent, your dirty clothes, and water, and you're able to actually wash your clothes in it. So this folds over. There's a ridged plastic piece on the back that you can kind of wash your clothes against to release any of the dirt, and basically you can just shake them all up, get them nice and soapy, and then you're able to rinse them off.
Personally, I really like this gadget. I was the one who wanted to buy this and thought that this was going to be an absolute necessity in our van. And I think if we were traveling slower and were off-grid longer, this would be perfect. But we never really got the chance to use this for a couple of reasons. One, there's laundromats everywhere, and it's just easier to pay the $5 to $7 to get a load of laundry done rather than washing each piece. I think you can put 5 or 10 articles of clothing in here at a time and scrub them, but rather than washing them in small loads and then having to wait for them to dry. So that's probably the biggest thing, is that we were moving too quickly to wait for them to dry on top of this. But I think this would be perfect for international travel when maybe you don't have access to a washer machine and you're going to be gone for long periods of time, or boondocking in the middle of nowhere and want to really clean your clothes because there's no laundry machines around. Something that I would recommend regardless of if you have the Scrubba or not is a laundry line. This definitely comes in handy when you have a lot of wet gear and you need to string them through your van in like a crazy concoction to be able to hang everything. So even though we probably wouldn't travel with this again, a laundry line absolutely is a must in your van. We hope that this video has been helpful. We certainly wish that we saw this video before spending all the money that we did, so hopefully this will at least help you better think of your packing and what's useful in your type of van lifestyle.
Thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions for any of the items or about the van, leave them in the comments and we'll make sure to answer them, and we hope to see you in the next one. How does it go?